All right, guys, we are on to the next phase of our bag build, which is the plumbing, all the fun stuff. So, actually, the tank that you probably saw in the beginning, we're actually not utilizing that tank because we're using 3 water traps with the side ported tank that we had, the Airlift tank. You know, you couldn't get these on there. Um, we actually got a front or rear, however you wanted to do it, facing port tank. Now this is a Ride Tech tank, 5 gallons. So the other one was 4. This is actually 5. So we got another gallon out of it, and we actually needed an extra port just to have for the actual pressure switch because the 3S utilizes a pressure switch. We needed a port for that. You know, you kind of want to have a safety valve when you're set up. You know, I think that should be a must. And to have both, we would need 5 ports, and then we got the bottom 6 port for our drain port. So this is actually going to be a compressor coming in. That will be the compressor coming in. Pressure switch, safety valve, and then this is our management right there. So we got a water trap on our compressors. Also got a water trap on our management. Keep in mind, when you buy a kit, it's not going to come with any of this. This was all purchased after the fact. The only thing that came with this kit was the pressure switch. So, you know, all these fittings, this was all stuff we got from Bag Riders. Water traps are from Bag Riders. They're SMC. All right, SMC water traps. So all these fittings and everything that we're utilizing here, this is all from Bag Riders. So our next step here is just to get this plumbed up. This is just a mock fit right now. Nothing here is actually, sealed in. This is all loose. I just connected everything just so we make sure we got everything, make sure we got the fitment. I did place this in the trunk. The setup that we're going to go with, this will work. I am going to actually have to move the arms here, the mounting brackets for the tank. We're going to cut them off and weld them in some because where these fall in line in the trunk, it's not going to mount. So we do need to move those. That's going to be fun. But everything right here, we're just going to get in, and we're going to actually use some Loctite, and we're going to fit everything up. So let's go ahead and get this tank plumbed, guys. All right, guys, so here's how we started the plumbing. We actually took off the original Viair check valves. These have got a bad rep. They've been known to fail. I've never used them. I can't speak from personal experience, but I haven't seen a lot of good things about them, so I'll stay away from them. Get these SMC check valves right here. So that's what we did. We started off by taking off the old check valves, and I installed the new SMC check valves on both compressors, and I am using the Loctite 545. So that's how we got them on here. They're on there, and these actually will spin because they got a swivel mount on them. So when we go to put these on the tank, they can swivel right onto the compressor sides of the water trap. Now, I want to plumb this tank, but I think I'm going to refrain from doing it right now just because we do got to cut those brackets off of the bottom and move them and weld them in, and the tank is going to be obviously subjected to some stress and be moving around on whatever surface we're going to be using when welding. So I don't want to have these expensive nice components protruding out of this while we're working on it. So I'm probably just going to back these back out and keep them how they are. And once this is welded up and we got the tank situated as far as the mounting brackets, we'll go ahead and plumb the rest of this. But for now, we did get these plumbed. I'm going to actually move on to the next step for what I can do, since we're going to be waiting to weld this up, is start getting stuff mounted where we want it to be. This is actually from the inside of the trunk. This is where our compressors and the management ECU is going to be mounted. So I'm going to start mapping this out on here, and from there we can start laying out everything exactly for the setup. Alright, guys, so here's where we're at. So this is the back carpet for the back of the trunk. This is actually a pretty sturdy piece of carpet. It's molded and has padding and like a plastic underneath of it. So this is actually pretty good for some mounting on the whole upper surface here, I should say, because the rest of it is flimsy. But where we have our stuff, our components, is actually really good. So got this mapped out. Already have the Airlift manifold screwed in. Comes with some self tappers. What I did is aligned, measured everything, took a punch, started the holes, and then we literally just shot that right in there with a drill. So the manifold is mounted. We turned our plate around here. You can turn that either or. So we turned it to face us, you know, so you can see it. Get that Airlift sign on there. And now what we're going to do is going to go ahead and get these compressors mounted. We got them in the location, you know, perfectly measured. It's even with everything else. The filters are on. Filters are easy. They just screw right in here. I just hand tighten the filters in there. We're going to go ahead and start these holes out for the compressors with a punch, and then we should be able to mount these as well. Alright guys, so here is our trunk together. Let's put it back together for some mapping out purposes, but I don't know if you can see, but we got our holes punched in for our compressor. There you go. It's kind of hard to see them, but they're in there. The manifold is mounted, so she's good and sturdy. As you can see, we got our 3S harness ran right to the manifold, and that's exactly where our compressors are going to be, right next to it. The tank is going to go right here, and here are our 2 pressure switch wires. Alright guys, just for a better idea, we want the tank to sit as close to this wall as possible so our compressor lines reach the tank. So this is why the tank needs to be welded, because the tank needs to go here. But as you can see, with this weird TL trunk that's all caved in and shaped weird, you can't get these actual brackets mounted where it should go. So it'd be really weird setup to just have it sitting there with those brackets where they are, and they covering the spare tire. So what I have done is I've marked where we're going to have these arms. So essentially, like I said, we're going to cut these off. We're right at the weld, and we're going to re-weld them in here. So that way, if you look, when this is all the way slid back, those 2 arms would fall right in the middle of this little space, right here to here, and it'll go right here. So that's where our brackets are going to go when we move them, so it'll sit perfectly right there. Guys, now that our tank has been fixed, we welded it into a position with the feet and the arms, the brackets, whatever you want to call them, in a spot that'll fit on that TL spare tire cover, and it should be good, man. It looks really good. Now our next step, since this is completed, see our arms are welded, we are going to start plumbing. Fun stuff. So as you can see, we got all our fittings, 3 water traps, our pressure valve, and our safety valve. So what I'm going to be doing is using Loctite 545, and we are going to go ahead and get this all together and plumb this with all of our fittings. And also, we do have a drain valve, which is the bottom port there, so we're going to use that drain valve right here with the fitting, and that will be going in the bottom. So our tank is ready for plumbing, and let's get into this now, guys. back in the TL trunk. Tank is all plumbed. Got our feet moved. Now this TL trunk is still murdering me, man. Even though we moved the arms on here, even with this back, these water traps hit right here. So you won't be able to drain them, and really it just pushes the tab in on the water trap and it would just be letting out air. So now, even though we moved them, we actually gotta make something here to raise this up, because if I had it out here, obviously our hoses aren't going to reach. And if it's, you know, back here, move it for you guys, you can even hear it touching. You know what I mean? It's not going to work, so it's killing me right now. We're going to have to get this tank elevated, probably to sit maybe a few inches off the platform right here like this, but I want to figure that out, and then we're going to keep going, guys. Alright guys, so as you know, this trunk setup and how it's formed and caved has been giving me hell, if I haven't said that already, but we got everything mocked up here. I just got the screws lately and the compressors are mounted. I wanted to get perfect fitment here because obviously with these water traps, this is what I'm fighting, is being able to get to them so we can drain them, and so they aren't pressed, because these do have a tab which lets the water out the bottom right down here, but you know, obviously we don't want that pressed when this is installed because it's going to let air out. So I think I got this with just enough room. I got my board mounting plate right there. Still got a little bit of play and tension in our lines, and I wanted to make sure I'd be able to get them screwed on. So really this was just a mock fit to make sure this was going to work, but this is what our trunk setup should end up looking like, guys. So this is a rough fit. Now let's get it actually installed.